16, finished at the World Championships this year, I believe, top 16 in the year prior, or maybe it was London dating back as well. He's had some really strong finishes at these events. Played Regidrago at Worlds. He stuck with it here for this event. And over on the other side of the table, we've got Sebastiá Mendonça, who is going to be playing the Dragapult EX, a deck we were just talking about earlier on. We have not seen this yet this weekend.
Yeah, this is the deck that you want to have if you make it into that asymmetric cut. Give yourself an opportunity to play with that additional time and find these unique victories. We've seen it win a regional championship already this year. Can it be done once more now at the international stage? Sebastiá will be rocking it, but he does not have any day 2 accomplishments to his name. Is looking to really cement a new legacy now and really represent.
His first ever day 2, and he finds himself in this position. What a story, and what an opportunity to really make a name for yourself. It's going to feel like a little bit of a mirror match here. Both of these players are utilizing the same main attacker. Miloslav will be using Dragapult EX on his side. Of course, he will not be putting Dragapult into play, but he'll be using Apex Dragon on that Regidrago V-Star in order to copy that attack from the discard pile.
Yep, look live, here comes the Phantom Dive. It's going to be all over the place. Do the additional hit points help out, or is there going to be trouble? My goodness. How do you attack if all the cool attackers are in the prize cards, and there's your pink card too?
Yeah, there's the Sparkling Crystal in the prizes for Sebastiá. We see the Giratina V-Star and that Hisuian Gudra V-Star in the prizes for Miloslav. I think that Gudra is a massive one. That I could see that being a really strong attacker in this matchup.
Oh, 100%. Also, maybe worth mentioning as well, you see the 2 energies in the prize cards for Sebastiá. It's just the 6 energies to work with to be down to just a 2/2 count of Psychic and Fire already this early could be tough.
Yeah, needing energy attachments, that's going to be really important here at this point. Yeah, with no crystal, there is just 1 earthen vessel. I don't see an energy in the hand right now. It looks like we are kicking things off on Sebastiá's side of the table. A pair of Dreepy to kick off this game, and it will be that earthen vessel, discarding a card from the hand, getting rid of an Iono in order to search the deck for a pair of energy cards and add them to the hand.
Well, shout out to Sebastiá for maybe not making those day 2s, but also attending the local league. Look at the flex right there. Some beautiful shiny cards with that earthen vessel and Iono, and now the energies will not be a problem. But there's still a little information need to be had here, and he's going to find out some bad news. There's no pink card.
No pink card. He also did prize a Dreepy, which could come up if he starts to get his first couple of Dreepy pressured really fast from Miloslav. It's definitely something that we'll have to keep our eye on. But yeah, the energy attachments here are going to be so massive. He needs to get an energy in play because Phantom Dive costs 2 energy to attack. Normally you can mitigate that with the Sparkling Crystal, but like we've mentioned a few times, he just won't have access to it.
Yep, maybe you find that at that mid stage of the game when you're starting to run dry on those energies. We know that there's a couple other ways to bring those energies back up. You have the Mela that you can use, bring that fire energy back into the mix. But if you start to lose those energies early, it can be hard to find them.
Off of the Earthen Vessel, we do see 1 basic fire, 1 basic psychic energy being added to the hand. And you got to think here, which Pokemon do you want to attach this to? If you attach to the active, you threaten a turn 2 Rare Candy Dragapult attack. But also, if you attach to the active, your opponent could knock it out.
Yeah, maybe you don't have all the information just yet when you see your opponent play down that Teal Mask. Could be Raging Bolt on the other side, but if you know Miloslav and you know that he's playing the Regidrago, you feel a little more comfortable thinking that there might not be that turn 1 attack, or it would take a ton of resources to get done.
Yeah, energy switch, attached to Teal Mask, and then you're leaving yourself a little dry with a Regidrago on the bench potentially. Now we're going to kick it over to Miloslav after Sebastiá does choose to attach the basic fire energy to that benched Dreepy. It looks like Miloslav will be kicking things off with the Ultra Ball, does get rid of a Night Stretcher. It's a key recovery card hitting the discard pile right away. And then that Curum, something that could come up really strong against these evolving decks if you can get it off early.
Yeah, especially when you're going first, you really love to see that Trifrost reaching the bench there so that you have that opportunity to board wipe and take out all these Dreepies and have that opportunity to steal those additional prize cards and avoid the setup on your opponent's side. Turn 2 is not going to be nearly as bad, and you do see there the Manaphy, a tech inclusion that is there specifically for this, is in the prize cards there for Sebastiá. Devastating news once more.
Yeah, I don't think he minded too much as Sebastiá if you get a Dragapult in play turn
Yeah.
2. Sure, go ahead. Try Frost 1 Dreepy on the bench. You've still got this Kyurem, or this active Dragapult to deal with.
I'm doing 200 every turn. If you want to take down these little guys, go ahead. Be my guest.
So off the Ultra Ball, Miloslav will choose to grab the Cleffa, indicating definitely a more setup-based turn. We're not going to be popping off and trying to go for a turn 1 attack. You rarely see that from a Regidrago player anyway. And this is honestly a really solid start. Has the Professor's Research. It does come at a little bit of a cost with that energy switch going down, but he already has a Regidrago V and a Fire Energy on the bench. Draw for turn with these 7 new cards from the Professor's Research. There's that Prime Catcher. Could enable some explosive plays on the next turn. What else do you see here for Miloslav, Kyle?
Well, there's an 8 of energy count for the grass energies, and none were found, but thankfully the Earthen Vessel was found there. So an opportunity now to continue to build onto this board, find that energy for the Teal Mask Ogerpon, draw an additional resource, and maybe if you can play this hand down even further, you can move to that Cleffa and refill.
Will be that Earthen Vessel discarding the Canceling Cologne, a tech we see played pretty often in Regidrago V-Star. There's so many different matchups in the meta that it can be good against. Iron Thorns, Mimikyu. It can be great against Manaphy. Yeah, that's so many different combo pieces you can pull together with the Canceling Cologne. Not great in this matchup most of the time, however, so we see that hit the discard pile in favor of a pair of energy. Thinking about it with this second grass energies, is actually going to choose to put the second grass back, only getting 1 energy off of this Earthen Vessel.
Yeah, at this point in time, it seems like Miloslav has a great understanding of what you want in the hand in order to perform a great turn 2 attack, and it's not grass energy, so and give yourself an opportunity to draw into different resources there with the Cleffa.
You see the Teal Dance drawing himself 1 single card. Worst case scenario, we can now see the retreat into the Cleffa.
I'm starting to question now. We see the Professor's Research and Energy Switch as well. You might just play this Nest Ball and leave the Teal Mask Ogerpon in the active spot if you don't feel like your opponent's going to perform a big attack.
Yeah, it becomes a question of, you know, how much of a hit do you want your Ogerpon to take? If you move it to the bench, sure, it can get softened up and brought back up later, but you want to ask your opponent to expend those resources. We do see another Earthen Vessel here discarding Boss's Orders, a powerful supporter card in the format, grabbing 2 more basic grass energy. It's always interesting to see situations like this where you chose to only get 1 grass energy, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I'll use the Earthen Vessel to get another 2.
Yeah, as soon as you see the Earthen Vessel, now it's a little different. The hand has dwindled down. You have that energy, the energy switch for next turn, the Professor's Research for the Regidrago. You might as well draw, what, 2 more cards here, 3 more cards now with the energy switch, and see if you can find that Regidrago V-Star.
We will see the Grasping draw 3 more cards added to the hand, looking for the evolution next turn. Also needs to discard a good dragon-type attacker. That could be an issue here. We talked about how the Giratina is prized, the Gudra's prized. One of the 2 Dragapult EX is prized. Is Miloslav going to be able to find a way to get that in the discard pile on the next turn? Sebastiá kicks things off with the evolution of the active Dreepy into a Drakloak. Uses that Recon Directive, looking at the top 2 cards, adding 1 to the hand and sending the other to the bottom of the deck. Now Arvin played as the supporter for turn, searching the deck for an item card and a Pokemon tool. Normally a great way to get that Sparkling Crystal A-Spec. Is not going to be able to find it from the Arvin in this situation, though. Needs the pivot option of this rescue board eyed up immediately from the search.
Do you like to skateboard? I certainly do. That 1 retreat cost turning to 0 with that inclusion, and it means that there's an opportunity to maybe find that rare candy into a big attacking Dragapult this turn. Depends what the rest of the hand has. We see some other cards eyed up now. Nest Ball typically doesn't mean big attack.
Unless the pieces are already in hand, which could be really nice here for Sebastiá if he already has it. And the rescue board grab makes me think he wants to go into something this turn. Buddy Buddy Poffin is the other card off the Arvin. He will go immediately back into the deck with this set up card, searching the deck for 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less. 1 more Dreepy brought to the front. The other one is in the prize card.
Chip.
So this will be the only grab.
This is getting dangerous if you don't have that attacking Dragapult on this turn. You look at the board and you think about the Kyurem potential. There could be a huge board wipe there, and you could remove all these Dreepies with the last one in the prize cards.
It would be a huge swing if Sebastiá does not have the pieces to pull off the rare candy into Dragapult. There's a rare candy in hand, and sure enough, Dragapult EX to go with it. We know the energy is available as well based on the Earthen Vessel from the first turn of the game. We see that evolution, we see the attachment, and now Retreat will launch the very first Phantom Dive of this game. More than enough damage to KO the poor Cleffa, and now where do these 6 damage counters go? It looks like he's going to stack them all onto the Regidrago V.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite plays that we see in a matchup like this. You're dealing that 60 damage onto the Regidrago, but once you attack again and deal that 200 damage, you start to line up for some unique plays, maybe with that Radiant Alakazam.
Radiant Alakazam getting into the mix would be really, really strong. It is an option that he has available. Miloslav's going to kick things off with the Teal Dance, attaches an energy. Teal Dance once again draws one more on the bench. Ogerpon looking for a Regidrago V-Star, looking for an energy switch or just another grass energy to attach for turn. Taking a look at the discard pile, he also once again does need a good dragon attacker in the discard pile.
Not much to work with, but we do know the supporter in hand is the Professor's Research. If you can find an evolution here, find that Regidrago V-Star, you then do have access to your V-Star ability to potentially discard even more of those dragon Pokemon. So the reach is there, but with those prize cards, you start to wonder, what attackers do you have left? It's basically that other Dragapult EX that you're starting to target. Maybe Haxorus as well.
And Miloslav does play the one Haxorus really strong into certain matchups. It's 230 damage, is able to KO a lot of 2-prize Pokemon in the format. Fezandipity, Tealmax Ogerpon with that Dragon Pulse attack. Every so often, though, you can also get that Bring Down the Axe to KO a Lugia player who was not very smart with their missed energies.
Whoops! Missed it there. Yeah, the Dragon Pulse, you can also see some pretty devastating discards there, but so be it. That's the way it goes.
Not going to be probably the play that Miloslav wants to go for here. If he can get that second copy of Dragapult EX into the discard pile, that's what he will more than likely be looking for. Just match the damage output. We could also see him go for the Trifrost, deal 110 damage to all 3 Pokemon in play, KO the 2 Pokemon on the bench, set up this active Dragapult EX to be KO'd by a different attack on the next turn. So there are still other options out there. Yeah,
I don't mind that at all. An opportunity to remove more potential threats. If your opponent doesn't have 320 hit points, and you don't give them opportunity to ever get to that point once more, it's going to be a lot more manageable. It takes a lot of resources, but the fact that this Regidrago V-Star is already lined up to take a big knockout, and you don't use your V-Star ability, means that there's definitely an opportunity to use energy switches next turn.
We do see a switch moving this active Tealmax Ogerpon EX to the bench, bringing up Regidrago V-Star. Now one thing Miloslav will consider is it worth it to go for the Legacy Star? Looks like the answer is no, but we will see the Trifrost discarding all of these energy cards, KOing the 2 Pokemon on the bench, and dealing 110 damage to Sebastiá's active Dragapult EX.
Well, here's a buddy poppin', but I don't think you're gonna find what you really want. There's no more Dreepy to go along with this, with the last one in the prize cards, and you've got a couple unique basics that you can reach for, but you're not attacking very much.
Yeah, we could see Sebastiá grab the Pidgey here. He could have gotten it on the last turn. He buddy poffin for just the one Dreepy, but I think it was a pretty heads-up play from Sebastiá to not get that Pidgey down because he knew Trifrost was a potential threat.
Now you take a look, the hand, there's not much that you really want to work with there. And basically have that Iono, I think, in the hand there. So if you can slow down your opponent's draws, you feel a little better. Takes a look at the hand size and says, 6 is a little too many. I'll try to work with 4 and see if that helps. But
so Sebastiá chooses not to put the Pidgey in play. What do you think of that?
It's a little complicated because you don't have an answer right now after this turn. If this Pokemon gets knocked out, you're going to lose the game. We are a Haxorus away from the game ending. It may not be a Pokemon that you expect on Miloslav's side, but that discard pile would be the end.
We do see him draw into the Pidgey, and Night Stretcher, I think, being the big card to find here, will allow Sebastiá to grab any Pokemon or basic energy from the discard pile. Adding it to the hand, we do indeed see Dreepy being brought back to life put directly on to the bench, getting that ready for the future turns. Sebastiá will not be taking a KO this turn, and so it becomes a question of how you want to set your damage up with the Phantom Dive. Now with the Nest Ball, we do see the Serendipity EX grabbed from the deck. Since the KO was taken by Miloslav last turn, flip the script can be a nice way to draw a few more cards.
Yeah, and now you start to wonder what the best strategy is as far as making this Pokemon stick around a little bit longer. 210 hit points left. You see in the hand, believe that final card is a counter catcher. If you could bring up the other Regidrago, but there's a world where your opponent just doesn't have the reach to use the V-Star and also attack that turn. You have to force your opponent to go for it all here.
Sebastiá draws 3 with the flip the script after the good old 1-card cut. We do see that Radiant Alakazam being found. We could see some Painful Spoons work into the mix, move damage counters on your opponent's side of the board, get yourself a little math fixing, set up for some KOs in the future. You pointed that out early on in the game. We now see that being a potential option. How does Sebastiá want to utilize it now?
Yeah, maybe you could also target down a Teal Mask Ogerpon and try to knock out that Pokemon and remove a Grass Energy from play. We see the counter catcher eyed up and ready to roll, and that seems to be the line now.
We do see that counter catcher bringing Ogerpon to the active. Painful Spoons moving 1 damage counter. Actually, not going to move a damage counter to the active, not wanting to take the KO just yet.
Yeah, this is a player who now knows that there is one unique way to victory, and it will be Iono. Do not take prize cards of your own. Force your opponent to overextend with a damaged board state, and hopefully you stick around for another turn. If not, you've at least accomplished the main goal there of placing down the Dreepy on the bench, and you could have that rare candy Dragapult on the following turn.
Really smart setup there from Sebastiá. Could be mitigated by Miloslav. Maybe it would force him to go after the Radiant Alakazam. That does put you on an odd prize that you may not want to take. So there's definitely a couple questions here about how Miloslav wants to approach this situation. The one thing is for sure, though, he's got to establish another attacker.
Yeah. Well, taking a look at this board, I don't know who I'd rather be here. There were a Haxorus away from what has to be a game-breaking knockout on that Dragapult EX. You would think is got to be pretty nice, but to commit energies to this already damaged Dragapult or Regidrago V-Star on the bench would not feel like a good time.
We could see Miloslav push for the knockout with the Teal Mask Ogerpon. You load a bunch of energies on it with some Energy Switch. The Myriad Leaf Shower can get to 210, which is the HP remaining on the Dragapult pretty reasonably. Then you run the risk of just losing all your energy pretty quickly. So Miloslav's got plenty of things to consider from this position. Looks like Ultra Ball is being played, searching the deck for any Pokemon, adding it to the hand. It will be another Regidrago V-Star being found. The discard of the Dragapult is massive now, and it will be another Nest Ball finding the Mew EX, looking for a little bit of help from the restart.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the supporter for the turn here. I believe the last card is the research, and finding more opportunities to discard some Dragon Pokemon and expand on the pool that you have for your Regidrago V-Star will be so pivotal here.
Yeah, really interesting to note from Miloslav's list, choosing not to play the Serendipity EX, has this Mew EX in the mix, as opposed to that other 2-prize support Pokemon. We will indeed see restart filling the hand up to 3 cards, does find another Grass Energy. We will see, is that attachment for turn? It's not quite enough damage yet. Would also need an Energy Switch for this, and that's onto a Pokemon with 200 damage.
All right, it's a big commitment, but drawing 7 now, trying to find a way to move that energy with the Energy Switch now.
Does have it guaranteed through the Legacy Star if he wants to, but I think he would have liked to have found one here, maybe save Legacy Star for the future. He's kind of committed himself down this road. He may be forced to Legacy Star right now.
Which is not what you want to do, especially when you're thinking about your opponent using Iono on the following turn. You'll be down to a low hand size. Yes, you have the Mew to refresh a little bit, but if you have to use Legacy Star, you're in for a bad time.
Another Ultra Ball getting rid of the Squawkabilly EX. Not a useful card at this point in the game. Also getting rid of the Temple of Sinnoh. Not a card that's super strong in this matchup. And the Ultra Ball, it does look like, will find the Haxorus. And I actually do think I see an energy switch was indeed found for Miloslav. It was the gold energy switch kind of blending in there. So he will have that option, maybe able to save Legacy Star for the future. Earthen
Vessel in hand too, so the discard of the Haxorus available. To have that option to maybe close out on a Pokemon like that Pheasantipity on the bench would be fantastic, as Miloslav tries to eye up those final 4 prize cards this game. But I'm thinking on the other side, boy howdy, that Radiant Alakazam could really make quick work of this board state.
Yeah, but I think Miloslav is recognizing he's kind of okay if that happens. You know, Sebastiá takes the knockout. Maybe he gets another Dragapult into play, but if there's not something like a Professor Turos scenario from Sebastiá to pick up the Pheasantipity EX, Miloslav has access to the Legacy Star still, which could probably, with other cards in hand, almost certainly guarantee the attack with the Regidrago V-Star. We do see Myriad Leaf Shower taking the KO, 210 damage exactly. Down goes the mighty Dragapult EX. Miloslav with simply 2 prize cards remaining. Sebastiá sending up the Dreepy here. I think we're in a situation where, in order to get off an attack, Sebastiá needs quite a bit.
I think Sebastiá's counting on his prize cards helping him out in this spot. Pheasantipity to start things off, to see a few more resources. You'd love to see that rare candy into the Dragapult EX on this side. I think we see the Ultra Ball there.
Yeah, and a rare candy as well, so he does have the pieces in order to get into a Dragapult.
One piece that's missing, however, is you're looking for a way to attack this turn for more relevant damage than just 70, and that's basically going to be by either 2 ways. You can have that Mela and get that fire energy back and give yourself an opportunity to attack there, or you find your prize cards and you retrieve that pink card and help out.
Yeah, and I don't think a Mela was found off of the Flip the Script, and I don't know that Sebastiá has any other way to dig for it. He can use the Painful Spoons, take 2 prizes, give himself just under a 50% chance to take it with 5 prize cards remaining. There's a chance he could take it. I don't know which order things are in. It'll be the Manaphy and the Buddy Poffin or the Manaphy and the Sparkling Crystal.
He's going to take a look and mix it up here first.
You can get another Dreepy here, but, you know, with only 2 prizes left on your opponent's side, you don't necessarily need it, but it looks like that will indeed be the grab. Shuffle up the prize cards. How these get laid out is going to be massive.
Trust the judge.
The good old judge shuffle, the good old judge placement of the prizes. We'll get an update here shortly on how they were laid out, and we may indeed see the Painful Spoons. Looks like Sparkling Crystal in a similar spot. Is it going to be the prize card taken?
Chip!
He needs it so badly here. 2 prizes to be drawn.
Oh, Manaphy and the crystal!
He does take the crystal. That leads to the attack this turn. Okay, there's definitely an opportunity here for Sebastiá. Has the rare candy, has the Dragapult. And now Miloslav has to decide what to promote. It will be Regidrago V-Star.
He says you don't have it. He promotes the Regidrago V-Star with 200 hit points remaining directly into Rare Candy Dragapult EX on this side.
Sebastiá has everything necessary to take this knockout, but there's a chance Miloslav's making this play, recognizing, hey, you can't take all 3 prize cards this turn. Sure, you can take this one out. Oh, and Sebastiá's not even going to knock this out. He's actually just going to go for the Jet Headbutt here, dealing 70 to the active. What can Miloslav do? Can he find all of the pieces in order to take out that Pheasantipity EX with the Dragon Pulse? Seeing how many cards are left in the deck, we're going to see the Legacy Star here very, very soon.
Oh, taking a count now. It's like, what, 10 cards left in the deck, trying to eye up the final resources to get the job done. You can accelerate the energies onto the board with the Teal Mask.
Let's talk through what he needs here. He needs a Fire Energy on his Regidrago V-Star. He needs another Grass Energy to be accelerated onto the other Teal Mask Ogerpon. He needs a pair of Energy Switch, and he also needs a Gusting card to bring up the Pheasantipity. There is 2 of the pieces right there. And he's counting through the deck now at this point, and I think Sebastiá sees the writing on the wall with Legacy Star available. Miloslav should have been able to close it out. We're going to head into game 2.
Oh, man, that was so back and forth between our 2 players, but Miloslav takes it down in that opening game of this great set. And whew, it could have gone either way there. It looked really bad at the beginning with that early Trifrost, but sure enough, found a way to manage a great comeback, but didn't want to overextend in that last turn.
Yeah, there were still 3 cards Miloslav needed there to pull the playoff. He needed the Grass Energy, he needed the Energy Switch, and then he needed Prime Catcher. I don't know that he had all those pieces necessarily available. Had we seen the Prime Catcher hit the discard pile, I think he had Research available still, so in theory, if he researches into the Prime Catcher, he should be able to do it, but I don't know that it was guaranteed. I maybe would have stuck it out just a little bit longer for Sebastiá.
Yeah, maybe you're not taking that prize card thinking, well, considerations for Pheasantipede to draw in. That's not a card that's featured in the list, though. So you're playing around cards, thinking of everything, and maybe it just was a little too much there. We'll take a look at the recap here of game number 1, see how we got to this point.
And it was a pretty aggressive start from Sebastiá. Went first, found the turn 2 Dragapult EX, but then Miloslav responded with the Trifrost, taking 2 prizes on the bench, hitting 110 damage onto this active Dragapult EX so that he could clean it up in a future turn with the Myriad Leaf Shower. You really don't see the Ogerpon attacking too often in this deck, but it puts in work in the right situations.
Yeah, it worked out so well here. You see all the damage starting to build up on Miloslav's side, and just was trying to find a way to close out this game, and did just that, just enough. It was going to take almost every card in the deck, and there was an understanding right then and there. You got plenty of time to make a good game 2, maybe game 3 out of this. Now, Sebastiá, let's see what you got.
Yeah, Sebastiá is going to be going first in this one, trying to get a similar setup, I would imagine. Yeah, what do you think? We never saw the Pidgeot trying to be established for Sebastiá. He's got that 101 Pidgeot EX line. Maybe thinking he doesn't want to give up the 2 prizes, but he put the Pheasantipede in play.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
Sometimes you're thinking so much about all the different opportunities that you miss the obvious play in front of you. If you give yourself a way to find those resources in the mid to late stage of the game, it's very difficult for your opponent to draw out and find the win.
Well, I'm sure Sebastiá has played against plenty of Regidrago V-Star up to this point in the tournament. It's very popular. It's been doing very well. He's doing very well, so I'm sure he's seen it somewhere along the way in his run, so he knows what to do and how to prep against it. We're getting into game number 2 here. We do see the start of that Rotom V for Sebastiá. We did not see the Rotom V hit the field at all in game number 1. He's going to start off this turn with the Nest Ball, searching the deck for any basic Pokemon. He will get the news, however. He's got 3 basic Pokemon prized.
Oh, yep, that's not the greatest news. There are some of those unique inclusions, the Hawlucha, which the math doesn't always line up so strongly there. See one of those 2 counter catchers as well. It's a great comeback mechanism here to fight back in the game and give yourself that opportunity to maybe catch your opponent slacking. They miss that switching effect, and maybe they miss that attack too.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything too bad prized here for Sebastiá. We will immediately see the Forest Sealstone being used now, attached to the Rotom V, giving it access to that Star Alchemy V-Star power. The flip of the V-Star marker now leads to any card being found from the deck and added to the hand.
Yeah, one great benefit of seeing that Rotom V at the beginning of the game means that you know you're going to have access to drawing plenty of cards at the early stage. The Forest Sealstone as well. The one negative, you can't ride a skateboard anymore, Chip. You're stuck in the active spot with this this silly Sealstone now.
Yeah, it makes the energy attachment in this turn very important for Sebastiá. You can attach to a benched Dreepy and then attach Retreat the Rotom, plus get your Sparkling Crystal on the next turn. He will end the turn off with that instant charge. The main reason Rotom has begun to see so much play in these Stage 2 decks over the last few years, filling the hand up, helping you get to some rare candy plays in the future. We will see that Pidgey now being actually established as well from Sebastiá, perhaps making an adjustment from game number 1. Now over to Miloslav's end of the board with the start of that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Tons of Pokemon in the prize cards once again. That single copy of Hisuian Gudra V-Star.
Energy Switch there as well. You count down all of those. It's almost the first card you're checking every single time when you're looking through this deck. You need to know where those are, and you're trying to accomplish your opening knockout without having to use your V-Star ability. Typically, it's all about those Energy Switches when you're doing that. You also see in the prizes that 1 copy of the Dragapult there. Still 1 more to go, but we talked about this Hisuian Gudra. It could be one of the key pieces in a matchup like this, limiting that damage output.
Yeah, definitely something that could be a really strong option that's just now not available, especially when your opponent has the 190 HP Rotom V in play. That's an easy target and an easy turn to potentially use that Gudra. do see the Teal Dance accelerating that energy, drawing a single card. We will additionally see a Regidrago V hit the bench. What else are you seeing in Miloslav's hand over there? What kind of plays does he have available?
Yeah, more energies in that Earthen Vessel as well, but you kind of get to a point in this hand where you don't want to overextend. It's about just setting up one big Pokemon and knowing that you're going for that turn 2 attack. If you can make that happen, then you're very comfortable, and you don't want to throw away those additional grass energies if you don't need to.
No supporter played here for Miloslav, just a pass back over to Sebastiá. Now, Sebastiá did not find a energy on turn 1, so what kind of options does he have to pull off an attack here? Is there a switch or anything like that in the deck?
There's a silly play where you can Lost Vacuum your own for a Seal Stone and then attach the board there now to try to get this Pokemon to move to the bench for free retreat, but it's going to be pretty tricky there. Yeah,
that seems unlikely. It looks like there's also a Professor Turo's Scenario, but if you're playing Turo's Scenario, that means you're not playing Arven to set up your stage 2 Pokemon more than likely.
These 2 cards are so big here, Chip. If you find the Pidgeot, you're in great spot. The Dragapult is pretty good too with the Rare Candy.
Yeah, it has the Rare Candy, so we can get that stage 2 Pokemon into play from this Recon Directive. Will it be the Dragapult grabbed or the basic Psychic Energy? Wants to make sure he values energy attachments as well, so he's really having a tough time with what to do here and does ultimately value having an energy to attach for turn.
Once more, though, you look at this bench and it's a little susceptible to the Trifrosting. He gets scared. Buddy Poffin's going to take a look once more through the deck and find the blue guy.
Yeah, that will mitigate much of Sebastia's fear. Now, Miloslav could still pull something off. We talked about the Canceling Cologne in game number 1. This is one of the situations for which you play that card. And we will actually see that Rotom retreating to the bench, bringing up the Pidgey, and getting that energy in the discard pile, now using Instant Charge to end the turn and draw 3 cards.
Yeah, Sebastiá never wants to be a bird keeper, ever. Just complete disrespect to the Pidgey at all times. I suppose this is a pretty nice pivot, as you could just give up a single prize to your opponent, and in the best case scenario, you find Rare Candy Pidgeot and have that free retreat.
Draw for turn on Miloslav's end. We did not see a supporter played for turn last turn. Now, was that because he doesn't have one, or is it because his hand was just that good?
Chip, it was a choice. There is a Regidrago V-Star and a Professor's Research. The Earthen Vessel now, if you don't already have that fire energy, you can acquire it here, and all of the attacks are starting to line up, so long as you can find a different attacker for the discard pile, but maybe you're content with just that Dragapult.
Yeah, that Earthen Vessel, putting that Pokemon EX into the discard pile, you could line yourself up with some plays now. There's nothing like the Hawlucha in Miloslav's deck, so we can't see it target down any of those low HP Pokemon. So that's not going to be an option for Miloslav. He does not play it. We do see the Fire Energy being found off the Earthen Vessel, does not choose to get any other energy cards, and that is because he doesn't want to put them in the discard pile with the incoming Professor's Research.
Yeah, plenty of opportunities to throw away cards later on with your Legacy Star. Don't need to waste them here. And it looks like we see a couple more Dragon Pokemon added into the hand along with an Ultra Ball. So the resources are starting to find their way to the top.
Yeah, quite a few Ultra Ball to work with, so you could get any other attacker if you want it into the discard pile, like that Kyurem, if you were able to find the Canceling Cologne play. It does not look like we're very close to that. You could dig for it with the Legacy Star. I don't really think it is worth it, though.
I think looking back now at the last turn, my favorite part about this Pidgey promotion is you're not giving up 2 immediate prize cards to your opponent, copying that Dragapult attack. With the 200 to the active and 6 damage counters to the bench, no Pokemon is available for that second prize knockout.
We do see Nest Ball being used, brings another Regidrago V into play. Now an Ultra Ball being considered here in order to discard a couple of cards. We do see that Giratina V-Star hitting the discard pile for the first time in this matchup. Not really an attacker I would expect to see come into play very often here.
Yeah, the only time potentially would be against a Pidgeot on the other side, but with the Pidgey being handled most likely this turn, I don't have to think much about that.
Mew EX will be the grab, put directly onto the bench. Its restart ability can continue to provide Miloslav with some support here. We will see switch into that Mew. One of the benefits of it as well is that it has that free retreat energy switch now. Will be followed up, I imagine, by a restart for a couple of cards. There's a boss's orders, and what is that other card? A Nest Ball.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite plays to see from players. You know 100% of the time it will be the attacking Regidrago V-Star. You always switch to the free retreater.
Now we see the switch into the Regidrago V-Star, the retreat, I should say. Attacking options lined up. More than likely, Phantom Dive will spread some damage. The question is just how does Miloslav want to go about it? 1 damage counter being placed on the Manaphy, 5 more remaining.
I want 4 on the Drek Cloak there to set up for potentially that Giratina V-Star knockout. But other than that, it pretty much could go anywhere at this point. The Dreepy could take that final damage counter if you so choose, but you have to be thinking your opponent wants to evolve that Drek Cloak next turn.
It becomes a question of, as Miloslav, what do you think your opponent is going to want to do? Does Sebastiá want to manually evolve this Drek Cloak into a Dragapult, or will he more likely want to rare candy one of his 2 Dreepy?
Well, there's 2 of them, so you don't put 4 damage on one, he'll just go to the other one.
Right, but if he rare candies one of them, then you can Dragapult it, right, and it stays a Dreepy, right?
Okay.
You can still Dragapult it later, and that is ultimately what Sebastiá is going to choose to do.
All right, well, considerations were made, and we'll see how that works out now. It looks like the rare candy play is likely the choice with the promotion of that Dreepy, really valuing the additional draw that you have with the Drek Cloak.
Over now to Sebastiá's side, does send up the Dreepy with just the 1 damage counter. He's going to not just walk into the Giratina attack, like you mentioned. We will kick off the turn with the Recon Directive, looking at the top 2, adding 1 to the hand, sending 1 to the bottom. Good old airmail back in its own way. Finds an Iono. Maybe not the supporter choice for this turn. Looks like Arven is being eyed up, but Iono is looking like a pretty solid option down the line. Now Arven will be played in order to search the deck for any item card and any Pokemon tool.
Yep, plenty of options here when you look through the deck, but you have to be considering what leads you to a big attack in this spot. I think most of those cards are already in the hand there, but the Ultra Ball could be another helpful piece. Of course, that having that Sparkling Crystal is the #1 importance there, and maybe on Miloslav's side you start to feel a little better when you see the rescue board, but sure enough, it is in the hand.
Sparkling Crystal, the key piece here in order to pull off this attack. It looks like we will see the Ultra Ball discarding a basic fire energy and that Lumineon V in favor of finding the stage 2 attacker of Dragapult EX. Rare candy incoming as well in order to get this Pokemon into play. Looks like we've got all the pieces lined up here to get off the attack.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised here now to see a card like that Mela being tossed away, as we know how important it is to have an energy attachment every turn. This is what, turn 3 now, and there's 0 energy on the board. Yes, there will be an attack this turn. You have an energy attachment, you have the Sparkling Crystal, but if this Pokemon were to be handled, what do you do from that point forward? You are completely reliant on every basic energy attachment from this point forward.
Every attachment is incredibly important. We do see rare candy being used. Here comes Dragapult EX. See the attachment of the fire energy, attachment of the Sparkling Crystal. Here comes the attack. Phantom Dive, 200 to the active, 60 damage spread to the bench. Sebastiá is also holding on to Counter Catcher. We will see Radiant Alakazam work into the mix. Could take some prize cards on that Mew EX, but instead will choose to go after this Teal Mask Ogerpon EX.
Yeah, we've seen this resource battle happening so often in this matchup. It's just an opportunity to force your opponent to have to waste a card, an energy, a switch, an energy switch, whatever it may be. It slows down your opponent just that 1 bit. But I don't know if I love the damage placement here on the Teal Mask. Yes, eventually you will clear this Pokemon off the board, but there's 4 energies already there, Chip. I'm a little more nervous about Regidrago.
This is the same damage placement we saw from Sebastiá in the first game. The situation, though, is quite a bit different due to the energies already in play, as you mentioned, Kyle. Teal Dance now for Miloslav, drawing a single card, getting an energy attachment, Ultra Ball, discarding another Teal Mask, Ogerpon EX, and a Nest Ball. Searching the deck for any other Pokemon. It will grab another Regidrago V-Star, an attacker you can establish that does not have any damage counters on it. It does need a few more energies to work with, but that is another option here.
Yeah, the considerations now for how you go about the closeout of this game. You don't need to knock out this Dragapult this turn.
This
Boss's
is really
orders
good, yeah.
is so great because not only do you take the knockout on that Rotom V, but you can set up the additional damage counters on the Dragapult to take that knockout on the following turn. This is terrifying.
Yeah, things are setting up nicely here for Miloslav, taking a 3-prize turn here, setting up to just have to take one more knockout, placing the damage onto this Dragapult EX on the bench so that it can be KO'd by that Giratina V-Star. He still has Legacy Star available as well. The mountain is getting taller and taller and taller, and Sebastiá is running out of energy to climb. This is looking really difficult from this position.
And every damage counter counts at this point. What a great play to put the damage onto that Dreepy on the following turn that you were mentioning there now. It lines up perfectly for the following knockout next turn. If your opponent does go an alternate route and play down one of those weaker V Pokemon, whatever it may be.
Sebastiá knows that this does not feel like a winning board state.
It is tough. Yep, you're gonna take as much information in as you can. That is a sad drop of the discard pile.
Looks like a rescue board being attached. That'll provide the pivot for the Manaphy, attachment of an energy for turn to the Dracloak. And Iono can put Miloslav down to 2 cards, but Mew EX is in play. There's a pair of Teal Mask Ogerpon. There's still Legacy Star to work with. What can this even do?
Yeah, we're not too far away from a conclusion, so long as that Regidrago still reads Legacy Star, which it does. It's a difficult way to come back here for Sebastian. Yes, you still do have a way to take a knockout this turn. You have that Radiant Alakazam that could move some damage. If you want to move it from the Regidrago to the Teal Mask, you could certainly do that, or you move the damage up and you take that 200 damage knockout.
Recon Directive looking at the top 2. Sebastiá shakes the head, did not find what he was looking for in order to give himself just a chance here. He can knock out this Regidrago V-Star if he wants to. He can knock out it and the Teal Mask Ogerpon on the bench, but he can't deal with the benched Regidrago V-Star. That was so massive for Miloslav last turn, using the Ultra Ball in order to establish this Pokemon in play, playing around any sort of disruption from Sebastiá. That would have been an opportunity, but now not available. 2 damage counters moved from the bench to the active. 200 HP now remaining on this Regidrago V-Star. We will see the retreat. We will see the Phantom Dive. But what is it all for?
Yep, just throws down the other Dragapult. I feel like you could have attacked with this one. He's like, well, I really like this attack. The problem is I have to use it with the Pokemon with 40 damage on it already. And yes, I can take a knockout here, but at what cost?
4-prize turn. Makes it seem a little bit closer than maybe it was, but Miloslav set this up excellently from the start. All Miloslav simply has to do is to use that Legacy Star V-Star power and grab himself a Fire Energy from the discard pile.
Seems like it is already lined up here perfectly. Just debating about how to place the final damage counters.
I mean, yeah, this is, at this point...
Take your 2 prizes, why not?
Sebastiá's gotten himself to this point. His first ever day 2. He's going to enjoy the moment here on the stream. Gotta respect it. But it is pretty straightforward here for Miloslav. 2 prize cards remaining. All he needs to do is grab this Fire Energy back from the discard pile. And sure enough, that's what he's speaking to Sebastiá about now. Legacy Star, grab the Fire Energy. We're going to go through the motions here, discarding the top 7 cards, gets to grab any 2 cards he would like, attaches the fire, retreats, and announces Lost Impact from the Giratina V-Star already in the discard pile to deal 280 damage, take the KO, and Miloslav propels himself into top 8 of the Latin American International Championships.
Yeah, it's a wild back and forth that we had there, but it ends in a swift 2-0 there from Miloslav. It felt like it was going to be pretty comfortable once the damage counters were placed in that direction. Just all the knockouts lining up so swiftly. If Sebastiá cannot make a use of all of the hit points, then you're just dealing with a faster version of your deck.
Yeah, I mean, both of these players aiming to use the same attacker, and you can see why Regidrago V-Star is more popular than Dragapult. It is perhaps just a better user of that powerful Phantom Dive attack.
Sure enough, that will get the job done. 30 points now for Miloslav, and that is a happy place to be at right now. We don't know what that exactly leads to for our players, but you have to think that that is at least good for asymmetric cut, and then there might be a play-in for that top 8.
Yeah, play-in may have to happen as well. That is something to consider without a doubt. Yeah, it's not even top 8 anymore, it's top cut. I gotta make sure I'm specifying that.
I don't want to do that. I like top 8.
Yeah, well, we're going into top cut here very, very soon. Lots of matches out on the floor, still finishing. Still the potential for 12 players to make it into top cut.
What do you think about that ID up there at the top, Chip?
They did choose to ID Isla and Brent Tonneson IDing at table number 1. Hopefully they both get to dodge asymmetrical cuts. It could be a little risky.
Yeah, it is a risk, but as a Golden Go player, you know you got to take those.
I guess they're actually probably pretty safe because 31 will probably just be the top end. It's not like there's people with more, there's not like 29 pointers that are playing to get to 32.
I was trying to explain that to you as we were going into it, but the issue is if we have 13 people making the cut, maybe there's a world where one of those players gets dropped in, but it's very unlikely to be them as they were the top seeded players going into it.
Yeah, it totally depends on how those final resistances will break down. They will, with the ID, more than likely be safe. Always a little bit of the risk, though. Probably are good to go, especially depending what happens at table 2. That can make a big difference.
All right, well, to speak a little bit more on those players that started off the tournament at 8-0, we mentioned earlier Jackson Ford trying to find that win, takes down Henry Chow to get there. It is the Charizard of Jackson that will be moving into that asymmetric cut.
Yeah, I believe I heard Henry saying earlier that he felt like the Charizard matchup was easy, so things just did not work out well for him there. If he was feeling confident in that matchup, Jackson Ford taking it down.
And Leonardo Walbrincher as well was a player playing that Iron Thorns that started off the tournament 9-0 and does find a win against, of all people, Ryan Antonucci there too. So man, that's another great player that started 8-0 moving on.
We'll get more into how some of these matches have broken down here shortly. In the meantime, though, we do want to hear from our most recent player getting into our top cut. Before we do that, we will take a look at the replay from that game, and it was a really solid 2-0 victory there for Miloslav. He really put on a great show, a really great lesson in how to play this Regidrago V-Star deck.
Yeah, we saw our players having a great time at this. Sebastiá really taking in the moment and having fun with this. As yes, the cards weren't exactly following his way, but you can see us there in that second game now. It was that opening knockout there on the Pidgey, which was smart of Sebastiá, but goodness, the damage placement here was really the story. Without
a doubt, and then that grab of the Rotom, bringing that up into the active spot in order to take a 3-prize turn, really put Miloslav just a little bit too far ahead. 2 prizes remaining. Sebastiá went through the motions, take an excellent 4-prize turn, but Miloslav had the pieces, was able to close it out, and we're gonna get to hear from him right now. Let's get down to the stage and hear in just a minute from our winner.
Yeah, I mean, this is everything that our players are trying to accomplish right here. You get that big final match win, you get to move on into the top cut, and this is not a spot that, I mean, we've seen Miloslav in there multiple times at the regional stage and continuing to build on those placements. And once more, here's a big one.
And now I do believe we have that interview ready. Let's